This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. I'll ask for additions to the agenda. I have two. The first one is a support letter for Everwinds, and the second one is the Reef Street survey. Is there any other additions? Hearing none, I'll ask for an approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second them.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll move right on to presentations. We have Terry Smith with us virtually from Destination Cape Bretton. Terry, I'll give you the floor.
Great, thank you. And I'm not sure if
I can give you presentation rights if you wish, or I can move your slides for you. We can go both ways.
yeah, whatever is easier for you, doesn't matter to me.
I can just move your slides if you want, so I'll try to.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all, and it's great to be able to present to you again. And I wish I was able to be there in person, but I'm in Halifax in meetings and trying to bring some money home. So hopefully that's going to work out for us. So I'm just going to give an update on our strategy for the coming year, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. First, I just wanted to start off with a little bit on results, and just looking at 2021. You can go to the next slide. So most of what we do from a marketing standpoint is designed to draw visitation to our website. We bring everyone to our website, and hopefully we can provide them with the education, the information that they'll need to make their decision to come to Cape Breton for a visit. And this just shows you the traffic to our website over the past 5 years. So you can see in 2021, in the blue on the right, we hit a record level in this past year. So the marketing campaign, albeit not a normal year like it was pre-pandemic, but we got some really good results and some record traffic. So up 29% over the previous year, and we surpassed 1 million sessions on our site for the first time. One thing that we also look at is clicks from our website to operator website or business websites. They were also up 13%, and that was at a record level. And just in terms of a quick peek at so far in 2022, to date, our sessions are already up 59% over last year. So it looks like we may even surpass that record level from the past year. So good things. There's lots of interest in Cape Breton Island. But then looking at where the rubber hits the road in terms of conversion to visits, this is the last 5 years room nights sold, and I've got them broken up into licensed or what's now called registered room nights sold that the province reports on, and then our shared economy numbers, which is mainly Airbnb. So if you look at 2017, 2018, 2019, if you look at the licensed room nights sold, it looks like there's a decline happening there. There is a decline in licensed, but then if you look at the blue bars underneath, that's corresponded with a rise in Airbnb sales. So Airbnbs have been getting a larger portion of the pie as we go forward. So if you looked at each year and combined the two, we actually grew in 2018 and 2019. Then, of course, we hit the pandemic, and we were down about 55% in 2020, so a very difficult year. Last year, we came back better than 2020, but still a fair way off from 2019, so down 37% from 2019. So trending in the right direction, but we've really got a ways to go to recover. You can go to the next slide. So just to give you an overview of where we're looking for the coming year, we look at a lot of travel trends when we're putting together our plans for the year, and I just wanted to share some things that really look um, uh, that we're really cautiously optimistic about. So one of the things is the Conference Board of Canada does a forecast every year for travel by province, and they projected that visitation in Nova Scotia is going to return to pre-pandemic levels this year in 2022, and that they said it'll be largely driven by domestic or Canadians traveling within Canada for leisure travel. And that's good news for us because Cape Breton Island is by and large a leisure travel destination. Another publication that we look at, Skift, they've said in their annual publication that 2022 will be travel's year of recovery. Expedia as well publishes an annual travel trends report. One of the things that they said this year is travelers are going to want their next vacation to be their greatest of all trips. And basically what they're saying is that there's pent-up demand for travel, but there's also pent-up savings. So they're projecting that what visitors are going to be doing is probably staying a little bit longer in destinations and treating themselves by spending a little bit more. So hopefully that does come to pass here. And then just a quote from Dr. Strang, and we're going to hold him to it. This pandemic will end, and Omicron is likely to be the way out of this. So overall, all of that paints a positive picture. Of course, it is a pandemic, so you never know. Uncertainty is the new certainty. So we have to be cautiously optimistic, but we're really hopeful that we'll be seeing a recovery coming this year. And next slide. So our goals for this year, we're hoping that we get our room nights sold back to 80% of 2019 levels. So that would be 345,000 in total. And we also want the monthly occupancy rate for our shoulder and winter seasons to be at these levels: 45% for spring, 60 fall, and 35 for winter. That basically as well gets us back closer to 2019. And we're also looking at working with partners to mitigate the labor shortage to the greatest extent possible. It's a very complex and challenging situation that's probably going to take a number of years to fully address, but we're starting and working with partners on that now. Next slide. So this slide is basically our marketing strategy in a slide. I won't go through it in depth, but how we plan our strategy is around targeting people through what Google calls micro moments, or at different phases where they're looking at planning their vacations. So as we would all know for ourselves, sometimes you're in the dreaming phase where you're thinking, oh, I just love to get away, and you're kind of searching around to see, what's out there, where have my friends and relatives gone lately, those sorts of things. You're just kind of looking at what might be an option to put on your bucket list. Then it comes, okay, I've got a week in July. I'm going to be looking at planning, and so you might look at a few destinations and try to narrow things down. Then you look at booking. So you've chosen your destination and you want to book it, and then you actually come to the destination and you experience what it has to offer. So each of those four stages, we have different marketing tactics that we employ, and I just wanted to make the point that the vast majority of what we do is either digital marketing, whether it's on social media or Google ads or YouTube ads, things like that. And then content marketing, where we're looking at the type of content that might be shared through those digital channels. So digital is the name of the game these days, and that's probably about 80% of our marketing budget. And a good chunk of that we do in partnership with Tourism Nova Scotia as well. Next slide. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that are coming up for this year. So we're planning 2022 as part of our recovery is we're going to do a focus on music for the year. We're hosting a couple of events in the fall, a global music tourism convention, and Nova Scotia Music Week is going to be in Sydney as well. We're planning some what we're calling the Sound of Cape Breton activations. So we're doing pub takeovers and pop-up performances in Toronto and Montreal, and looks like we've got some of Cape Breton's finest performers to participate in those with us. So we want to do some things in two of our biggest markets that's really going to remind people of everything there is to do in Cape Breton, but really with a focus on coming and experiencing our music. We're planning a Downtowns music series across the island in a number, looks like it's going to be about 8 different downtowns, including Port Hawkesbury, and your CAO and I have had a chance to have a discussion about this, and we'll be discussing more, but we're really excited about being able to work with you in bringing some incremental music to the town and really complementing some things that you already have planned in terms of looking at Granville Street and the area overlooking the waterfront, and how we can bring that to life. So that's something we're really excited about. New music events Incubator, we're hoping that we will launch a couple of new music focused events this year. There's an inspired song video series that we're going to be looking to do with a number of our performing artists in locations around the island. And we're also looking at enhancing the live music section on our website and also developing a mobile app. One thing we know from research is that about 45% of visitors say that they seek out live music as part of their visit to the island. We want to increase that amount, and we want to make it easier for them to find out about some of our marquee musical experiences and events like Granville Green, for example. Next slide. Another thing that we're going to be launching next week actually is a spring initiative, something new for us called Waterfall season. We're modeling this after something that Tofino on the west coast of Canada does with a storm watching season, where they looked at a traditionally slow period and how they could brand it as a particular type of season. So here we need some help to generate more traffic during the spring. So our marketing team looked at some ideas, and waterfall content always seems to be some of the most popular content that we share on our social media channels or blogs on our website, or our videos that we do. Anytime we share something about waterfalls, it seems to get really strong engagement with visitors. So we're building a whole kind of program around what waterfall season could be, but it'll be generally from about mid-May to the end of June. So spring, when we have the spring runoff and there's lots of water in our rivers and brooks and streams. So that's something that will be coming up, and we'll be announcing more details next week. And next slide. A number of niche markets that we've been looking at developing over the last year or two that I just wanted to highlight. One is luxury or upscale travel, like targeting visitors of high net worth. So we're working with a number of partners around the island, and Port Hawkesbury Airport is a key part of that picture in terms of bringing in private jets, for example. So we think there's a growth opportunity there from not just private jets, but from marine visitation, things like super yachts, but not just super yachts, some larger yachts as well, but other ways to travel here. We've got a number of activities on the island that are appealing to that market. So we're looking at it. It's at the development stage right now, but we're looking at seeing what we can do to develop that. Sport fishing is another opportunity that we're looking at developing and working with some partners on that. Biking another one. And just wanted to highlight as well small meetings. Another travel trend that we're seeing, it's probably going to take a little bit while. We're starting to come back to having things like conferences and conventions in person. But one of the things that that is a trend with so many people working remotely these days is that businesses and organizations are looking at planning things like corporate retreats or ways to bring those remote workers together and be able to, you know, have that team building exercise. So Cape Breton is really positioned very well to be a destination for small meetings, and of course with the Civic Center and also with Maritime Inn, we think that Port Hawkesbury has an important role to play in that. So that's something that we're going to be working on this year to develop going forward. On to the next slide. Just another thing that we're going to be working on this year that's new. One of our challenges is that we don't have enough Cape Breton specific data to make decisions on. So, we've just recently signed on to a new platform that's going to allow us to get some of that data. It will allow us to get more information on our visitors from a demographic standpoint, from their travel patterns when they are here. As part of this, we're going to be able to look at geofencing different regions of the island. So basically what that is drawing a circle, I guess, around an area and then looking at who the visitors are within that area and what are their common traits. And that will allow us to make better decisions, but we'll be able to share that information as well. So for example, in terms of regions, we'll be looking at, you know, regions like the Cabot Trail or the Bedore Lake, districts like the Port Hawkesbury area. We will specifically define that. And then we can drill down even a little bit further into points of interest. For example, like the Port Hawkesbury Civic Center or the Port Hastings VIC, to look at who specifically is going to those places and finding out what we can learn about them. So this is a brand new thing for this. We don't know what it's all going to look like in terms of what's shared in the end, but we will be sharing the data with your municipality, with tourism operators, and hopefully with some potential investors. Hopefully it's going to be providing some very valuable data so that anybody looking at investing in the industry will find that very helpful. And that's just some of the highlights and of kind of our strategy. But in terms of destination development, one thing, so some of you may be aware that in the past year we released our Rise Again 2030 destination development strategy for the island, which is a long-term plan for our industry. And we've sent out copies. You should, if you haven't received them yet, we've sent out copies for everybody on council. And some things from the plan that we're going to be working on this year. Again, I talked to with the labor shortage, working on that with partners. You may have seen that Cape Breton University, through the World Tourism Institute, just recently had an announcement of some federal funding for what's called the Cape Breton Island Tourism Training Network. So that's a new initiative that we're partnering on. We're going to be looking at developing a sustainability plan for the industry as well. That'll be in the latter part of the year. And as well, we're looking at some things that we can do for our organization, Destination Cape Breton, to evolve and to enhance our capacity to deliver on our mandate. I believe that's my last slide, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you for the presentation, Terry. Lots of information there for us to sift through. We did receive the Rise Again 2030 magazines.
Great.
And I'm sure we'll all take time to go through that as well. I don't personally have any questions. Does anybody else have any? Hearing none, again, I'd just like to thank you on behalf of council for your presentation.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity, and I hope to see many visitors coming through your, not just through, staying in your town this summer. So this summer and for the rest of the year as well. So here's knock on wood and say a novena, whatever you have to do, but hopefully we're going to see tourism start to recover.
All right, thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So moving on to item number 5, council reports on assigned committees. The mayor has circulated her report, and I believe it'll be on the website in the not too distant future. I'll start off by March 22nd, we had an airport meeting. March 23rd, a Parks and Rec meeting. And I believe that there'll be something coming to council in the near future from the Parks and Rec Committee. On the 29th of March, we had a special public meeting. On 30th of March, I attended the State of the Strait along with the mayor and CAO. April 4th, I attended a Festival of the Strait meeting, and that's everything I have. Move on to Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. We had a SAT meeting the other day, I don't know the date, yesterday, I guess it was, yesterday morning. We had a Festival of the Strait meeting, like you said, you were attendant. I was also in attendance for that Festival of the Strait meeting and the Recreation Committee. We'll have something coming forward, like I say. We had a policing meeting, and the topic was brought up that there was a citizen down in Grants Pond, was brought up, and Staff Sergeant did call the gentleman, and I think it's taken care of. So that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Councillor Macquarie.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Street Area Transit, we had a board meeting on March 16th, March 22nd, the 29th, April 5th, and 12th. We've had HR committee meetings. April 19th, as Councilor McDougall said yesterday, was their monthly meeting again for Street Area Transit. We had a Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health Committee meeting on March 24th, and on April 7th, here at the Civic Center, the committee hosted the Community of Care Gala Awards, and that was an event to honor contributions of local healthcare professionals, and it was very much a success. Accessibility Advisory Committee meetings continue to take place through March 21st and 28th. And the plan was presented to council, and council approved the Accessibility Advisory Committee at the April public meeting. Eastern Counties Regional Library, we had a monthly meeting on March 31st, and we had 2 special meetings on April 6th and April 11th. And on April 11th, we welcome the newly elected Councillor Claude Poirier to the Eastern County Regional Library, and he was replacing the former Councillor Alfred Poirier, who had stepped down and resigned. So my report.
Thank you, Councillor Macquarie. Councillor McIver.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. As Councillor McDougall stated, we had a police advisory committee meeting, and my other meetings were canceled this month, and they're scheduled for later on, Waterfront and Joint Park. So,
Thank you. Move on to item number 6, CAO reports.
Yes, Mr. Chair, so I'm going to ask Jason to come up and present the report on engineering and public works.
Thank you, Terry, through you, Deputy Mayor. I'll try to make this as concise as possible. A little bit of that. There's a few items to go through in this committee of the whole periods. Traffic sign report was provided. Location is at the northbound entrance to the Sobeys Plaza. So what we're seeing there is certainly reduced average speeds than what we've noticed in other areas of the sign placement, which is typical for that section of Reef Street. And that's very consistent with the last couple of months of reporting in this location. So that's good. Wanted to let everyone know just an update on our funding applications that we've submitted in the last couple of months. So with the recent call for applications for the ICIP program for water and wastewater type upgrade projects, we were ready and we submitted our project for water systems upgrades. So we've been talking about this project for a number of years now, and a lot of the pre-work was already done. So we made sure that we had updated pricing and changed the scope appropriately, and that hopefully we have a favorable outcome with our application this time. Just to break down the funding levels for that program, the federal government provides 40% and the province 33%, and the town's contribution be 27% through the ICIP program. The other application that was submitted was through the Federal Active Transportation Fund. So this is the potential project that relates to upgrades to additional AT facility in town, which could include, replacing some sections of sidewalk, widening sidewalk, additional line painting or sharrows marked on streets, addition of some signage. What we're looking at is to further move along more detailed design for an AT upgrade in the Tamarack Drive area to connect Tamarack Drive with the school at the end of the road tech. So that would be a wonderful piece of work. It's just we need to do more engineering and find some more, do some more detailed design with that piece. And we've included costs in this application to help with that. So, federal funding for that application is 60%, with the municipality submitting 40%. An update on our projects that we have ongoing and have just kind of kicked off. Before I get into this, it's just a tip of the hat again to Aaron and council on approving the capital budget so early in the year, because this, by doing that, it really allows Public Works to kind of take the ball with a lot of this stuff and get it done early. And the timing for getting projects out has been great, and it's a huge help for procurement too. So, water treatment plant process control upgrade. So that's a project we've talked about a few times now. There's still a delay on materials there. It is quite frustrating, but I'm in frequent conversation with the contractor. They're frustrated as well. It's an industry issue. They're looking at alternatives. It's components of the control panel boxes that aren't fabricated somewhere in North America that have to be shipped to the manufacturer so they can complete that portion of the work. And the reality is that they can't proceed with that work because it wouldn't be CSA certified unless everything to do with those enclosures are completed. We do have an extension approved by the province for this PCAP funding through to March 31st, 2023. So we can get it done right. Macquarie Drive Extension Active Transportation Project was tendered last week, which is great. We're out early with that project. That's the AT facility to be installed from McSween Street to Summit along Macquarie Drive Extension. So that would connect that entire street, the nursing home area, the park, pump track, Sarek, with existing sidewalk, and provide a safe place for residents to get to those very popular sites in town. Next one is our capital paving work for 2022. So work is well underway to prepare survey drawings and tender documents for this work. This work is the scope is based on the areas identified through our capital budget planning process. So there shouldn't be any surprises there for everyone. And we've engaged Straight Engineering to help with that, and they're working away. So our goal, hopefully, with this project is to be able to have a tender out towards the end of this month or early next month, which is still pretty good timing. Just wanted to highlight some, and that's the mapping showing the areas identified in the capital budget plan process. Wanted to highlight some work done by Public Works in the last little while. Business park ditching, continuing on with work that was done last year in the fall. So recently, Public Works completed another approximately 300 meters of ditching improvements in the business park. So it certainly works better out there, and staff have cleaned out culverts and looking at further culvert replacements and other areas where we need to do ditching improvements. So as time permits, and as machine availability is allotted to us, we'll certainly make sure that we continue on there. So next slide just shows a significant excavation that staff undertook a couple of weeks back for a sewer lateral replacement for a home on Prince Street. Normally this wouldn't be anything that we would want to need to brag about too much, but this was a fairly involved excavation where we had to take or replace a sewer lateral from the opposite side of Prince Street, from where the dwelling was, down Prince Street Hill into the sewer main that runs along the bank. So a bit of a tricky job. Staff did a phenomenal job. The excavation was constructed really, really well according to OH&S standards, and they were able to complete it in a timely manner. Our water utility annual report was submitted. We do this every year. Highlights really the sampling results. It highlights any upset condition with our water utility over the past 12 months. We have to submit this every year according to our operating approval to Department of Environment. Yeah, just happy to report that there was no instances of serious upset condition or boil water advisory, or really any sampling that came back to us in exceedance of what the limits are. So happy to report that. Next slide just highlights that we've been approved for an engineering and public works student this year through the Clean Foundation. So this is a group that we've gone through the last number of years to get help with bringing an intern to our group for the summer. It worked out really, really well for us in the past. Zach Lowe was our student for a couple of years, and Zach was phenomenal. We really liked having him around. It was a great opportunity for him to get some experience and education under his belt through us. So we're back at it, and this will be a 15-week summer internship position, and we're happy to welcome Neil McLean for Hawkesbury to be joining us in mid-May. He'll start on May 16th. Neil's a second-year engineering student in St. FX, and we have a lot of work lined up this year that Neil's going to help us with, and he'll get a lot of great experience as well. One of the first items that Neil is going to kind of coordinate for us is a planned community litter cleanup event. We have planned for, or scheduled for May 28th. That's a Saturday. So I believe we tried to plan a similar event around the same time last year, but it was delayed due to COVID. So we tried an event later in the summer with not a whole lot of updates. So we should see a pretty good update, even a more favorable time. Procurement. Procurement, again, having a capital budget approved early in the year allowed us to order a replacement backhoe. So that machine is ordered. And because we were able to get out of the gates a little bit early, we were able to take advantage of delivery of machines coming to this region in June. So that's phenomenal for us, and we should see our new backhoe towards the mid to late June. And we highlighted the attachments that were added to that procurement as well. And Public Works truck purchase is the next. So that we entered into a request for the quotation exercise. We received 2 submissions, canceled for the successful vendor, and that vehicle has been ordered as well. So again, this is a very long wait for this new vehicle, but we're likely at least 2 months ahead of where we probably would have been a couple of previous years. Another tender that was recently closed was for our annual street line painting work. So we had 2 submissions for this work as well. The work has been awarded to Sweeps Pavement Markings. And this includes the repainting of all the town street line, crosswalks, stop bars, directional arrows, etc. So, and we do have a clause in that document that the work shall be completed by June 17th. So we're hoping to have favorable conditions this year weather-wise to allow them to meet that date. If it rains for the first 2 weeks of June, obviously they can't meet the date. If the temperatures aren't favorable for putting paint down on asphalt, so it's going to adhere properly, well, then they're probably not going to meet that date as well. But we're going to try to keep them as close as we can to sticking to that schedule. And another tender exercise that we have ongoing that actually closes tomorrow is for system assessment report body of work. So this is a requirement of our operating approval as well, and utilities are required to undertake this exercise every 10 years. What the system assessment report does, it has to be done by a professional engineering consultant, and they'll look at every aspect of our water utility to ensure adherence with provincial drinking water standards. Now, we're quite confident in our adherence with everything, but it's always great to have a second set of eyes or an outside set of eyes to look at our processes and our equipment and notify us of any efficiencies or improvements. Next slide relates to the Leaf and Airway site. So what we're proposing is opening the Leaf and Airway site exactly like we did last year. So with it'll be what we're proposing an open date of May 21st. That would be the first Saturday. Would be operating on a every second Saturday rotation, same as last year. Would be opening the site at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., the same as last year, and the same type of materials would be accepted. It would be the same number of instances where the site would be open as last year as well, and it worked out quite well. One thing to keep in mind, when we took on the green card program for the town of Port Oxford, a big driver of that program was to provide an option for residents to dispose of organic leaves and small hedge clippings and branches and such that they don't necessarily have to take to the Leaf and Airway site during that small window of time. So they can put it in a green bin, send it to the curb every second week, and possibly more frequently during the summers. So yeah, looking for consensus really from council to operate the Leaf and Airway site similar to last year. So what that'll do is allow Public Works to kind of proceed with some signage updates that we need to make out at the facility gate in advance of the site opening, and we can start getting some public notice information ready for residents as well. An activity summary wasn't available at the time when the report was put together, as Bud was off sick. But I do want to highlight a couple of other quick things that wasn't included in your agenda package. Our spring hydrant and water main flushing program is set to happen from the week of May 1st to May 6th. So you'll notice some messaging to the public in advance of that work. So that work will happen all in the evening time overnight in an effort to reduce any impact to residents and businesses. And Melissa actually has been doing all the work to prepare for the spring heavy collection for the town, which is scheduled for May 16th to the May 20th. And things Melissa's arranged for a lot of notices to go in the paper and social media and website for that event. And we ask that residents do not put items to the curb before May 9th. And that concludes my report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for the presentation, Jason. As usual, it was well prepared and well presented. There's no doubt that Public Works has been busy again this month. I don't have any questions. I don't know if anybody else on council may have a question. Yes. Go ahead, Councilor Pharaoh.
Yes, through you, yours. Just a couple of questions, Jay. On the traffic sign report, I'm assuming that's still being forwarded to the police, is it?
I haven't recently, Councillor McDougall, but I can certainly do that.
If you would, even to Dave anyway,
Yeah.
it was brought up at our last policing meeting
Sure.
and they were discussing stuff.
Yeah.
And the dates on the heavy garbage pickup, is that the 13th? Was it the 16th or the 13th or the 20th?
Week of this
I think
16th,
it's the 13th in the advertisement, isn't it? Or
16th, I believe.
16th.
16th to the 20th. That's Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday, okay. And the leaf and waste yard, did we not, at the beginning of last year, 2 years ago, have it twice a week at first? And then we changed it to once a week?
That was before the green cart arrangement was the option for residents. If that's something that you know we want to explore, we can certainly do that. But part of the issue that we ran into in previous years was staffing the site on Saturday mornings, and you know having the green card option for residents really took a lot of the need to have that site open for longer hours every week. And given the uptake that we had for the site last year, we certainly feel it's appropriate to proceed with a similar schedule. I think the residents were well served.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, Your Worship. Through you. Jason, I see the speed sign is, I guess, giving us the information what we thought, that it's the speeds are pretty consistent where the sign is. And I know that Captain Macquarie had mentioned that they're out in the subdivision between Superior Close and Aspen, that there seems to be speeding along that section there. If it's possible to have that sign maybe move before school closes and just get some kind of data there, see if there is a lot of speeding on that street.
Sure, that's certainly an option. It's the nice thing about those signs is they're relatively easy to move around and set up. So we can certainly look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
And we'll move into Gordy Snook.
Good evening, everyone. Through you, Deputy Mayor Coyne, I'll give a brief report to Committee of the Whole. I'll start with the Civic Center, where pretty much all the restrictions have been lifted. As we know, the provincial state of emergency is over. We do still encourage wearing masks and social distancing while at social events in the Civic Center. Spring hockey is underway as of last week. They're going to run until May 7th. A little bit of a reduced program this year, but everybody worked hard to make sure we got it in and we had spring hockey. Our fields and parks, as you can see there, the tennis court lights actually arrived this week. So we're just scheduling installation for those. I'd like to get them done before the end of the month, but it may be a challenge just logistic wise to get a lift in that in there. So working towards having those lights installed. Our maintenance program has begun on our fields. When weather allows us to get on there, when it dries up enough, we've started at the aeration, liming and fertilizing, and where we have to overseeding and topsoiling. Fields are not bad shape this time of year so far, so if we can get some drier weather to get on them and service them, we should be in good shape starting our soccer and ball seasons. Next up is the food bank. We have received the final drawings for the addition for the footers and frost wall and slab. That's where the walk-in cooler and walk-in freezer will be mounted and connected to the food bank. Just waiting on final pricing to come in on doing that groundwork. We're also waiting on some geo work done being carried out by Stantec. As we can remember back, I think Mark and you would remember for sure, but excuse me, we had an oil leak there quite a number of years ago, and the venting system and stuff, the groundwater venting and stuff is still in place, so we have to have that cleared up before we can go any further with that project. So we're getting that done. So we hope not to be held up too much, but we are waiting on that report to come back to us to see if there's anything else we have to do there to move forward. We're still waiting on a reply for the funding application for the EV charging stations. Haven't heard anything yet, so we expect to hear something before the end of April. Summer students, I can say that I received an email from Mike Kellaway yesterday and confirming we have 9 student positions for this year. So those positions can start anytime after May 5th, I think it is, and run until the last Friday in August. So very excited to hear that we've got 9 positions this year. Accessibility, as we all know, our Accessibility Advisory Committee presented to Town Council on March 29th. And at our public meeting on April 5th, the council accepted our accessibility plan. So we now have that in place and we can work towards honing different aspects of that plan and different sites around town. So that's my brief report for this month, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Gordy, for the presentation. I don't have any questions for you tonight. Does anybody else on council have any?
No.
Hearing none, you get off the hook easy tonight, Gord.
Yeah, no worries. If anything comes up, everybody knows where I'm at. So, yep, thanks.
Thanks, Gord.
And we'll move right into Michelle Pharaoh.
Good evening, and for you, Deputy Mayor Coyne. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to deliver my Committee of the Whole report. starting as usual with the trails. The Trails Association, with some support from the department, was successful in receiving a grant for 2 summer students through the labor market program support system. So these 2 positions will be in addition to the 9 students position that Gordy already mentioned. And they will be posted in collaboration with the Canada Summer Jobs position. So we did a preliminary post actually this afternoon, opening application. So we are currently, as of today, accepting resumes for all summer student positions, and they will be all posted until May 6th, at which time we will review and commence interviews. Also on Saturday, March 26th, the department hosted the S'mores Night trail hike in partnership with the Strait Area Trails Association. It was very well attended. I think just about over 100 people in attendance. And the hike and the bonfire were held on the Maple Trail. So really great feedback on that event. And as usual, super fun for everyone in attendance. Looking back on our March break activities, they were a huge success this year. I think just a testament to, how much children and families are wanting to get out and participate in some really super fun activities. Most of our programs were full or almost at full capacity. I would say the most popular program being the gym and swim program on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning of March break. We officially launched our online recreation program registration system along with the release of our spring recreation and aquatics flyer, and I've attached that. I attached the flyer to this report. And we have about 900 registered users already in about just a little less than 2-week period. So I think it's a real testament to how well received it's been and the readiness of the community to move to an online registration system. So as I mentioned in, previously, this platform also manages room bookings, so room bookings at the Civic Center. So we're in a bit of a transitional period right now where we're still using the old platform and transitioning everything over to the new. So for a short period of time, we will be using both platforms just to make sure that we don't miss anything, and eventually we'll phase out the older platform. Upcoming shows, we've got the Island Girls on May 1st. The first show, the release of the first show was so successful, we sold out quite quickly, so we added a second show, a matinee, on the same day. And I did check this morning, and we're at about 250 sold for the second show as well. So this show is going to be a huge success, and looking forward to that. May 7th, we've got Matt Minglewood. May 6th, we've got Jason Cyrus. June 18th, we have East Coast Pro Wrestling coming. We have a promoter from the Cape Breton County area. He's coming to do a wrestling show for us in the Bear Headroom. So that should be well received by young families and the wrestling community. And then July 3rd to August 7th, of course, Granville Green Resurgence. September 24th, we have Evans and Doherty coming, and also in the process now of booking and confirming some shows for the fall season and also some Christmas shows as well. A couple of rentals. May 14th, we've got the Red Tribe Boxing event. It's going to be an amazing event and such a great cause. I love what these guys are doing with youth in the communities, and hopefully they'll have some great success with ticket sales. So we've been kind of helping them out a little bit, and I'm really happy to do that and support. July 4th, we have a circus coming. It's a non-animal circus, and that will take place in the arena. And then you'll notice in my report under grants and sponsorship, I have been keeping a running list. So you'll see the more recent ones at the top of the list and the least recent ones at the bottom. So the two newer ones this month are, I submitted an application for the Canada Arts Presentation Fund for Professional Art Festivals and Performing Arts Series. This is a 3-year increment application. So the application period for this time was for beginning in 2023. So this funding will be, if we're successful, $20,000 a year to support cultural presentations from 2023 to 2026. And then we also applied for the Canada Arts Presentation Fund Re-Engaging Audiences Fund. And that would be, if successful, $20,000 for digital marketing and website development and enhancement aimed at marketing the Civic Center as a presentation venue. Confirmed sponsors for Granville Green. We've got Port Hawkesbury Paper, Bearhead Energy, waiting to hear from Paul on their confirmation of funding. Seaboard Tire, East Coast Credit Union, and A1 Pizza. And I am waiting on a few others with a deadline of April 30th to confirm partnerships. And just to note a few things on marketing, promotions, and media, specifically under the Granville Green event. So Granville Green Resurgence will focus on and emerging from the pandemic and creating space for community connection, inclusiveness, unity, and gathering. So that's kind of the theme of Granville Green this year, and really just creating a space for people to share stories of their emergence from the pandemic. We purchased some Indigenous art for some of the Granville Green marketing. I think everyone is going to love it. It's absolutely beautiful. And it highlights those themes and offers a beautiful visual representation of them. We will start releasing the artists for Granville Green sometime in May in collaboration with 1015 The Hawk and our community media partners. We will likely do a phased announcement this year, creating some buzz and some excitement in between announcements. So yet to confirm exactly how many announcements, how many, each week, or whether we'll do 3 at a time, 2 at a time, that kind of thing. But we're going to do it a little bit more phased, kind of like the Calgary Stampede does it, and kind of creating some buzz on social media around those announcements. The series itself will be featured in all local print and radio media and featured in See Nova Scotia magazine, the Nova Scotia Tourism website, and Saltscape's food and travel guide, as well as all of our usual avenues for media. And lastly, the Town of Port Hawkesbury Facebook page likes increased again from 3,678 to 3,702. So always creeping up a little bit every month. And that is my presentation. Open to questions.
Thank you, Michelle, for your report. I have a comment for you, Michelle. Is you had mentioned you were helping the Red Tribe Boxing do some promoting, and I was talking to Barry, and he just wanted to pass along the gratitude of the extra help, and I personally want to thank you for that as well. Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you so much. Very happy to do that. Thank you.
Hearing no questions, it sounds like you're getting off easy tonight too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. Brief report, but doesn't mean we haven't been busy in finance. So it's a busy time here. Too busy to create a long report. No, just kidding. So operating budget is something that we've been spending a lot of time operating in capital over the last number of months. Draft 1 was delivered to council. We had our first meeting tonight, so I again appreciate council giving me some time tonight to start reviewing. Meeting scheduled for next Tuesday to kind of follow up from tonight. So we did intend on having a May public meeting approval of that. So it looks like, not a ton of decisions for council to make, but some tough decisions, I think, for council to make. So we'll let the process unfold and we'll take as much time as we need. But I guess the goal would still be ratification at that May 10th meeting, if possible, and if we feel we've had enough time. So we'll meet as much as we need to meet, but that would be the goal. Audit planning is also underway. So Grant Thornton has been here to do their walkthroughs of our controls and do their planning field work. Still waiting on dates for them of both field work as well as an audit planning meeting. So you should hear from me, those of you that are on the audit planning committee or the audit committee, should hear from me soon, hopefully on a date for that audit committee meeting. And we would anticipate similar timing of field work beginning in late May, assuming we're ready for that. So just wanted to give council a heads up, just so it's not a surprise. Just in some of the work I've been doing lately around our water accounts, I send out arrears notices, and I noticed there's a number of inactive accounts that have balances on them, and some of them are a bit dated and or have a deceased individual or whatnot, may have some interest that wasn't adjusted and whatnot. So I don't think it's going to be a significant amount of money, but I will be bringing those forward to council over the next couple of meetings for write-off. We typically write off our inactive accounts anyway, so it's not going to be a significant financial impact to the water utility, but it is going to clean up our accounts receivable listing and make sure we're kind of fresh moving forward. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that, and you should be seeing those coming forward for me kind of as we investigate each one of them, coming forward probably in chunks to clean up that listing. So just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that and anticipate those over the next couple of months. Any questions? Happy to answer.
Thank you for your report, Aaron. I have no questions. Anybody else?
No questions. No questions.
No questions.
Thank you. That's great.
And project updates, over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's just I just want to give an update on some projects that kind of fall in between the cracks of Public Works and the other departments. So there's some initiatives that we're applying for, some things that are happening. And so we'll just give you, and Gordy mentioned Waterfront or the food bank project, but there's some other ones like that too, and we'll just get a little bit more here. So this is the Community Housing Capacity Building Program. So our Housing Advisory Committee asked staff to apply for this program through Nova Scotia Housing. We completed the application. The application was well received. However, we didn't meet one of the main criteria, which was we were not a not-for-profit society. So we had to resubmit the program. The municipality could not submit that. So the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce submitted it on our behalf and took over that project. So these are the deliverables for that. We were successful through the chamber. So these are the deliverables. Provide a legal and management service required to ensure organizational capacity and long-term growth in the housing sector by putting in place structure required to establish the Strait Area Housing Development Society from a group of very capable volunteers. So that's creating this local housing development society. Provide dedicated staff or consultant to provide support and coordinate the work of existing community groups and group of volunteers who have come forward from nonprofit housing societies, Strait Area Housing Development Society. So that was just a name that we used within for that application. And then the other thing we've asked for is legal and other technical support in establishing a low-income housing trust. So that's putting the town could, without any issue, put some of our land in a housing trust. So if we have a nonprofit society come forward, they are able to utilize the land in that. And as well, a private individual could donate land into that same thing. So this is a new concept for Nova Scotia. It's being used in Western Canada a lot. There's a briefing tomorrow actually on this from the province because a number of municipalities and other organizations are moving forward with that. I'll skip that kind of part. That's sort of the long part of what this housing development officer would do, but the housing development officer is very clear. It has to be a consultant, so we can't go out and hire through the regular process. So right now we're going through the process of finalizing a request for a proposal for consulting services to fill that. So this is the way that grant breaks down. So retain a housing development consultant. So there's $65,000 set aside for that. So it's $50,000 for the contract, and the RFP is stated that way. So they have to tell us how much work they can do for $50,000. Another $15,000 of that to make the 65 is for travel and incidentals and other types of fees like that. $10,000 in community for developing organizational management structure for a society. So that's pretty much legal fees. So if we are to create a new society, then there's a management legal structure that has to be put in place, and there's some money for that there. Create a land trust, again, that's primarily legal fees, and we had indicated $15,000, which you had originally was to be administrative support that was given from the Civic Center. That person will probably work from Strait Area Chamber of Commerce right now, so we have to figure out that dollar value there. So it's for a total of $100,000, but an $85,000 grant, which we're very grateful for. Rediscover Main Street is we had a call from ACOA, Strait Area Chamber of Commerce had a call from ACOA. So we're working together on this initiative. It's called Rediscover Main Street. We had originally, and Terry Smith referred to this program because Destination Cape Breton is putting an application in the same program. I wanted to ensure that our application would not compete with this, and it doesn't. It's going to work well with our proposal. So we're working with the chamber on this for an application that will go in under the town. Our proposal was around Granville Street and the Waterfront. We were told by ACOA that it has to be the main shopping district, so it's going to have to be on Reef Street or over in the mall, or maybe move around a bit here. So we're still working through that concept, but as we get that ready, we're going to send that out to the council. But we're certainly at the application process, and that has to be completed next week. One of these programs that came out and with about a 3-week turnaround, and we're in the last week of it right now. Develop Nova Scotia has a call out as well. The program is called Community-Led Placemaking Program. We've had some initial discussions with Develop. We'd like to focus this one in back again around the waterfront, which is Granville Street and there, and we'll focus even more improvement around the waterfront through this. This is a $50,000 grant, and focuses in on, like I say, placemaking. I think we have some new stuff here. Support to economic recovery, main street squares, downtown. Create places for people to gather and connect socially. Create opportunities for inclusive community involvement. Invite increased visitation to the community. So Develop take a hands-on role with this grant. They come down and help us with community consultation and try to decide what's going to make our community better. So we will put in the application for that as well. Waterfront project, there's actually waterfront projects that are going to be happening this summer. And you've seen most of this, but I just wanted to kind of go through what we're looking at here. So this is just a picture of our waterfront. So there's two kind of main projects. One is the ACOA project that we were successful in applying for. And the other one is the active transportation trail. So we're going to be able to move forward a section of active transportation trail this summer. So under the ACOA project, this is what's approved. So it's construction of a large kiosk, construction of a smaller kiosk, signage. So we talked at great length about replacement of our historic signage. This is the money that's set aside for that. Art installations. So this is public art, and that's focused in Sunset Park. We have equipment. So the purpose of the large kiosks, or what we applied for in the application, in the grant application, was for a large kiosk to be provided for equipment rental. So we have our bicycles, we have our e-bikes, we have our mountain bikes and other bicycles. We also have $15,000 set aside now through this grant for other equipment, and that's meant for small watercraft. So that's kayaks, a canoe or canoes, and waterboards. So that's where that focus is, and life jackets and paddles and the types of things that go along with that. So that's all that equipment will be set up in that kiosk and be available for rent during the summer months. I talked about art installation in Sunset Park. There's another $75,000 set aside for Sunset Park paving, $142,000. So that's the resurfacing of Water Street, plus accessible parking to the sort of the three main areas there. And we're just sorting out design on that, but that's where that's at. And that's how the funding, and the second table is how the funding breaks down. So from ACOA, it's $189,000, almost $190,000. And from us, there's we had $30,000 set aside for Sunset Park, $87,000 for the town. That's really to offset that paving component of the project. And then we're seeing municipal affairs, accessibility, and which we received the municipal affairs grant and are applying for the $10,000 in accessibility funding. So that project is moving ahead, and we're in design right now of kiosks, working on the public art, an R4P process for the public art piece. And we'll be going forward with the equipment purchase, and the WSP and are working with us on the on just a very basic pavement design for us. This is Sunset Park. You've seen this before, but just a reminder. So this is where your public art piece will go. Right here, parking, accessible parking. You see your fencing is in place right now, the berms, and furniture, and we have a shelter as well that will go there. And so you'll start to see more stuff come here. So this is just an example. Waterfront Committee, Advisory Committee seemed very firm that they wanted these kiosks as in the shipping container form. So these are just some examples of what we've seen from shipping containers. Anyway, it can be done quite nicely. The other part is advancing the active transportation project. So we're able to advance active transportation, which is going to enable us to primarily where it's going to be is to replace our existing boardwalk with active transportation lane. And I think Jason presented to you on this at the Waterfront Advisory Committee. But right now we've been working with WSP. They've completed the Macquarie Drive extension piece. They're now working on the waterfront piece. We've asked them to pull in services off a landscape architect. So we need this to look not like the basic AT trail that we see that's going from the Civic Center to the Nautical School. This is going to be an upgrade from there, and that's primarily around seating and how it looks. It's got to work in that setting. So that's moving ahead. We're meeting with WSP tomorrow, I believe, with the landscape architects. And so you've seen this before as well. So that'd be Water Street. That's where the alignment off the road, off that trail would be opposite the yacht club. So back of the yacht club, along the fence, CN fence. I think it's our fence, but beside the CN land, or not the CN land, but railway land. And you've seen this too. So this project includes lighting, it includes benches, it includes all the sort of streetscaping amenities that we've seen in AT. So again, Waterfront Committee very helpful in selecting lighting and benches as well. So on the direction of that committee, it will be primarily the high density plastic type furniture, so very very high quality materials. Food bank, just an update on food bank. So this is what the drawing looks for the food bank. So a big piece of this is a new freezer, walk-in freezer unit and walk-in cooler unit. That's going to be it's relatively small, but 9 by 14 foot extension onto the building. This is what's going to happen on the building. So these are elevations of the buildings. See, there's a new front door. Yeah, so new front door, and we're looking. Let me look here. See the easiest way to see this. So if we look at this, is standing at Shindig's, looking at the side of the building. So that's where the expansion will go on this side. That door, the stairs is flipping this way. We're going to turn that around. You look on on the front of the building, so new porch type of structure. So that's a new roof and porch. So there you see the new entrance there. There's going to be an in and an out as well for this. And so you're going to go in the main doors and be able to go out a new side door where the people would stand and wait inside. And Mr. Chair, that's Deputy Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you for your report, Terry. It's exciting to hear that we're going to get some the chaos down on the waterfront and some rental equipment. People have been asking for it, so it's nice to hear. I have no questions. Do you have any from council?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, just one question. That's a lot to adjust right at the minute. I'll have to look at it some more. If I get any questions, I'll ask you. Just on, sorry about that, just on the Deputy Mayor mentioned, who's going to be running the rentals? Right? Who are they going to be from, Terry?
Yeah, so the idea is a student, and we're working with the yacht club on that as well. So students, so yacht club have requested students, and we're looking at students as well. So there will be charge out. Right now, our rentals are giveaways, but there's going to be some revenue that's going to be generated from this as well. So,
I'm sure that.
but it will be student run.
And the funds will be for who?
Pardon me?
And the funds will go to who?
If there's anything left over, it'll go to the Waterfront Advisory Committee. So hopefully, we break even. But whatever additional funds come from that activity that's directly associated with the waterfront, which would be available for use for the waterfront. Is my thought. We haven't had discussion on that because it's relatively new, but that would seem to make sense to me.
No, I just heard in the past, the last couple of years, and I think you also heard that there was some people interested in doing that. Public people put private money in to do that in town already. I heard that, but I don't know where they're at with that, but I would keep pushing forward what you're doing, yes, see where we go. That's all for me.
Deputy Mayor, like we have had people with that idea, but never completed.
Yeah.
So this is not the only one that is being done. Same thing is being done in St. Peter's at the canal, with a partnership with the First Nations community there.
Well, that's it for me, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Terry. Move on to other business. Medical for council, sitting through the first budget meeting tonight. It's okay with council. I'd like to take that off for this year, and we can revisit it if we're in a better shape next year.
Yeah.
Okay. And item number 2, we're going to defer until the next committee of whole. So EMO exercise, back to you, Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So we haven't talked about this before, but we've been working on this for a number of months. So there's a regional exercise being planned for Inverness County, Victoria County, and the town for Hawkesbury. So staff from our municipalities have been working under the leadership of provincial EMO for an emergency management exercise. That exercise is going to be conducted on May 16th. It'll be a paper exercise, so that we won't be seeing people running around streets or anything like that. It will all be conducted on paper. So, the reports completed, requests completed, all those types of things that would happen normally in an emergency. And if your emergency coordination center is activated, but this will be in paper. So we've had excellent leadership from provincial EMO. They have a large staff that come down and have worked with us in creating this. The committee that's actually creating the exercise itself, with representatives from each municipality, and training that's also going on. So our senior staff have completed it's called the ICS, or the incident incident command I can't remember what S means, 100 course. It's ICS 100 course. It's a universal course that's taken all throughout North America on emergency management. And we've also completed the Emergency Coordination Center course. That was a one-day course. It's typically 2, but it was condensed into 1 day for all of our staff that we want to take prior to this exercise. So that's occurring, again, that's occurring on May 16th.
Thank you, Terry. Move on to approved agendas, and we have 2. The first one is a letter that the mayor passed around to council this evening, this afternoon. It's a support letter for Everwinds. We can't make a decision on this tonight anyway. We just wanted to bring it to your attention, and we can discuss this on May 10th. And the second one is the Reef Street survey. Over to you, Terry.
We just wanted to bring this forward. This has been posted on our social media and it's been in the paper last week and it's coming in again tonight. So just, it's a reminder, telephone survey starting, it's actually starting Thursday. The actual is starting Thursday evening and will run for approximately 10 days. So it's not exact because there's a certain number of telephone calls, of contacts that they have to make. And they figured it will take about 10 days. So it may take longer, it may take a shorter time. But anyway, starting then, that's going to be followed with an online survey. It's all being conducted by Narrative Research, Don Mills, so professional, one of the most recognized professional survey companies in the province. So that's occurring. I just want to give a heads up while we're on here.
Thank you, Terry. No questions?
So just a question on that.
Sure.
I know we made a motion at our last regular council to, and it was amended and everything to do with, have to have the total report until September. So is this going to happen? Is this going to be, so if we're going to starting, when are we starting?
Thursday.
Thursday, and we're running for 10 days? That's going to be done way before September.
So, yeah, Deputy Mayor, so this is one component of that study.
Okay.
So this component will be finished or that the data collection will be finished in about 10 days. But there's data collection that's going to occur all summer on Reef Street with traffic counts and that type of thing. So report won't come out until the fall for sure. That report will be prepared by Nova Scotia Public Works, and that will happen in the fall, and we'll consider the summer period.
Does that answer your question?
Somewhat. I guess my concern is, and our concern at the time the motion was made was if there's any traffics on, see, I don't know what this survey details. If it's to do with traffic on Reef Street, we wanted to see that traffic, being able to judge and see what kind of traffic we had during July and August and September. This way, if there's questions on that survey about traffic on Reef Street, and we're starting next week, that's certainly taking the whole summer away. So I don't know, did anybody see the questions?
The committee, so there's a committee and two councilors on that committee.
So is there questions on the traffic?
Oh, yes, so it's there is four the questions that are on the survey.
On traffic?
Traffic is very much on the survey. Yeah.
So the traffic for that all summer, the survey is going to be over before there's any traffic in the summer.
Just to get through you and Deputy Mayor. So again, this is one piece. So there's other ways of measuring traffic as well. So the traffic counts, there's traffic speeds, there's all kinds of data being collected over the summer that will be considered as well.
I understand that, but that's not given an individual. If I'm going to answer them questions tomorrow or the next day, I can't answer them and saying, well, August and September and July and June and July, the traffic was astronomical there. I don't know that because I can't see that. I can't predict the future. I can't see that to make that. That's my point. I know there could be, Jay gave us traffic reports every month we get traffic reports.
One thing that I could add to that maybe is from sitting on the committee, the survey is tailored towards town residents. And
Yeah.
the road guide has been in place for two years now.
Yeah, but our concern was, Jay, with all due respect, our concern was pre-COVID and after COVID was over. We thought the increase in traffic, some council members thought that the increase in traffic would increase after COVID. We will not be able to tell that. We're just getting through COVID now. We're not through it, obviously, but we're just starting to come to the end of it, hopefully. In July and August and September, maybe our traffic could go up fourfold. Who knows? But we're answering the questions next week. We will not have that information. Just a point I just wanted to make, just to make that point.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? All righty, we'll go on to future meetings. What I have on my calendar is the public meeting that was scheduled for May 3rd is now moved to May 10th. And the next committee of whole will be May 17th.
Deputy Mayor, is there any interest in combining those two meetings? They're 1 week apart. I don't know if you are interested in that, then we've certainly done that before. And I'm going to be away I'm going to be away that day, but that's not why I'm asking. Aaron can certainly do that job, but when there's only 1 week apart in those meetings, sometimes there's not a lot to be gained. So
yeah.
we could get that information. Our reports, staff reports, could be primarily written form. So you would see them well ahead of time, and it'll be more about asking questions to staff than having longer presentations like we've done, a very long one tonight. But
Would it maybe be best to poll council, since we're
I can
not
certainly
all
do
of us
that. Yeah,
here
Melissa will
tonight?
do that on our behalf.
Just nice for everybody to have some input on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll call for an adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Good.
One meeting in May. And don't we typically do one meeting in June? Or do we, no, we do a June public and then we do a committee poll and then we do a special public following.
Bill?